Hiya! Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about Wonder Woman. I can only do one W. Two. Doesn't work, does it? Anyway, here today to talk about Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman is directed by Patty Jenkins. Stars Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Connie Nielsen. We also have David Thewlis in there, and Robin Wright and a couple of other people are in the film as well. Really, really good cast. Gal Gadot plays Wonder Woman, obviously, and we have Chris Pine playing Steve Trevor, who is let's say the human interest of the film. For most of the film, it's the human interaction interest for the film. So we're going to talk through a little bit of what I thought about the movie first, then I'm going to go into a few spoilers afterwards. So I'll put up a time code roughly when I go into spoilers, hopefully so that you can avoid that bit if you haven't seen the movie yet. So we'll just talk a little bit non-spoilers to start with, and then we'll go into a few spoilers later. Okay, first thing to say about the film is get it out of the way, as everyone else seems to be doing. I thought it was a great film. I thought it was a really, really good film. I think it had a huge amount to offer, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I went to see this in 3D IMAX, and I would say first off that I don't think the 3D IMAX was really worth it. IMAX certainly was. It looked great up on the big screen, but the 3D aspect I'm not so sure about. Now I can say that for a fact because when we were watching the film, the left-hand projector of the IMAX projectors broke, and we had to watch probably the last 10-20% of the film in 2D because we couldn't get it running up back up in time. They were very good about it, gave us free tickets, all that kind of stuff, so good work there by Odin. But yeah, the screen went down, so we had to watch the sort of climax of the film in 2D. Having seen most of it in 3D and some of it in 2D, I have to say the screen size and the audio was enough on its own. There wasn't really anything that happened in the film that I felt was made for 3D, not in the way that like Avatar was. It certainly didn't feel like it was filmed for 3D IMAX. It definitely felt like any 3D went through in post-conversion. I may be wrong about that, but that's how it felt to me. The film was really good. I really liked Gal Gadot's performance. She reminded me a lot of Christopher Reeve in Superman. She had that kind of naive charm, huge amounts of grace, obviously very elegant, but I don't particularly like the word fierce. It's got a lot of connotations these days, but she was certainly courageous, she was brave, and she had conviction, and she followed through with that conviction. So for me, it really did remind me of that sense of innocence coming from a totally different environment. Something that we used to see, for example, in Superman films, with Clark Kent arriving in Metropolis, not really knowing anything, bit of the fish out of water story. Here we got two of those. We had one with Steve Trevor arriving on Themyscira, and then we had one with Wonder Woman arriving in London and later on into Europe. The film itself captured, I think, the First World War very well. I think the setting really suited it, being able to do everything without any real reference to the wider DCEU I thought was good. It was sensible to do that. It didn't have to rely on any link-ups with other characters and any little building things. It could really stand on its own, very much on its own. Similarly to how Captain America First Avenger did, in that it was set in a time period where it could pretty much stand alone, and there wasn't much crossover between the two. They crossed over subsequently, but within that film they could just concentrate on telling that story, and this worked extremely well for Wonder Woman. I felt a lot of the reality of the war, a lot of what was shown about First World War, some of the politics, but not all. Some of the politics was very well represented. Representing the attitude of the generals to their soldiers, the idea that these people were basically cannon fodder. I thought that was captured marvellously, and they certainly showed that it wasn't just a one-sided thing. There was a good side and a bad side. There was indifference to the lives of soldiers on both sides, and that was certainly something that was portrayed by the British. And I thought that was great, particularly Wonder Woman's reaction to, Diana's reaction to this callous disregard for human life. Not something she'd ever, I think, assumed that you would ever witness in the real world. So the film's definitely structured in 3 acts. We have a sort of a big action scene in each of the acts, and for me, the first 2 acts with their action scenes were by far and away the most impressive for me. I liked the 3rd act. I think it had an awful lot going on, but there was a couple of things which I'll talk about more in the spoiler section that really did get to me slightly and yes, for me undermined a little bit of the appreciation of the film. Overall, however, I'd say it's very well acted. It is well directed. For the most part, the story is clear, it's coherent. Obviously, there's a very, very clear mission going on here. I think most of the mythology was well handled as well. I really liked Gal Gadot's performance. I think and a lot of people comment on how she's not the greatest actress. Neither was Christopher Reeve, for example. I don't think of him as being the greatest actor ever. I don't think of Chris Evans as being the greatest actor ever. I think some people, because of her relative lack of experience, are holding her to a higher bar. And she did a couple of things that, for me, was enough to give her a pass on anything else, which was her physicality was outstanding. She is, physically to me, she is now Wonder Woman. She looked really tall in the film. Really, I don't know if that's, I haven't looked up how tall she is, but she looks so tall. And she also did the pathos, the empathy, the degree to which you want to connect with her. You like her. I liked Wonder Woman in a way that I did not like Superman. I liked the film, Man of Steel. I liked that film. I liked Batman v Superman, kind of. Man of Steel, I really quite liked it. I didn't warm to Superman. He wasn't charming, he wasn't interesting, he wasn't empathetic. You couldn't really relate to him in any way. They're gods. But with Diana, her belief, her sort of upbringing, and the way it was portrayed by Gal Gadot in the film, I think did a great job. Really, really great job. And for that, I don't need Shakespearean level acting. I don't need, I don't want to put Meryl Streep in as Wonder Woman. I think you had to have the physicality, you had to like her, and beyond that, she delivered her lines really well, and it was believable. And I thought for that, plenty was done here. Really good job. Really, really good job, Gal Gadot. Chris Pine also was fantastic. I thought he was charming, he was really interesting. One of my favourite films of last year was Hell of High Water. For me, he kind of came out, that was his kind of coming out type thing, moving away from Kirk. And in this film, he was great. Again, fish out of water in one sense, and then they go to the middle act, and he's kind of the guy who knows his way around, and Diana's the prince, the fish out of water. And I think they handled both of those really, really well. And it's smart humour. It's smart, funny stuff going on in the film. This is not stupid men, clever women. It's not men are reckless and are incapable of controlling themselves. It's not that. It is a nice film where there's no sort of battle of the sexes, there's no fake tension, there's no stupid guys who are just there to be really, really dumb. Chris Hemsworth in Ghostbusters, for example, even though it's a really funny role. And I thought this was great. This was really, really well done. Trod that line really, really well. So I give the film, I maybe being a bit high on it here, but I give the film an 8 out of 10. I thought it was worth 8 out of 10. I thought it was really entertaining. I felt that it made me smile. It made me smile, a couple of times it made me laugh, and I didn't do much sort of groaning and no moaning at what was going on in the film, with one exception. But otherwise, I thought it was great. Anyway, so 8 out of 10. Loved the film. Now, I'm going to go on and talk about some spoilers in relation to the film now. So, if you don't want to hear about any spoilers from the film, just jump forward to this time code, which I guess I'll probably put here. And then you'll miss out on any spoiler talk if you haven't seen the film yet. If you haven't seen the film yet, stick with me. I want to talk about a few spoilers. Particularly when I want to talk about stuff that I didn't like in the film, because there were some things I didn't like so much, and I'm going to have to go a little bit into spoilers to talk about those. So, if we talk about spoilers in relation to the film, we start off in Themyscira. We start off with Diana as a young girl. She's being trained up. She's learning about this god killer, this weapon, these things that she will never be able to wield. Clearly Hippolyta, her mother, played by Connie Nielsen, is restricting her. She's holding her back. And I thought this was great. I thought Themyscira was beautiful. On a big IMAX screen in 3D, you could tell it was CGI in the same way, if you know, that you could... it wasn't like the bigatures they used in Lord of the Rings that looks fabulous even on the big screen. This was quite different. You could tell it was CGI, but it was beautiful. Vibrant, colourful, and yeah, it looked gorgeous. It reminded me of Santorini or some of those other Mediterranean islands, you know, Aegean islands. Gorgeous places for holidays, and you know, it looks fantastic. And then we're introduced really fast to the Germans. So, you know, Steve Trevor's being shot down, he kind of washes up onto the island, and he's pursued by the Germans. And very quickly on the film, we are straight into a big action scene between where Steve Trevor is trying to fight with the Amazons. The Amazons are getting their first sort of exposure to rifles, to bullets, to modern armaments, and you know, they're being cut down. You get some excellent fight scenes involving Queen Hippolyta's sister. A little bit of what I thought was quite obvious CGI on Connie Nielsen when she's doing her sort of Hippolyta fighting stuff, but great CGI, a lot of bow and arrow, a lot of you know, horseback riding, fantastic action from the Amazons. It really sold the Amazons as a race, as a race of, you know, super fighters, and that was great. But this sows seeds of discontent. We get a few fish out of water bits with Steve Trevor, and then they want to go off and fight the war. So they find out about the war. As 5 seconds of this is Aries. We finally sort of get to see that this is something that Diana's been kind of heading towards her whole life, although she's never really known it. And Diana leaves, goes off. She takes the lasso of truth, she takes the shield, she takes the sword and the armour, and she leaves with Steve Trevor. That's kind of Act 1 done. Act 1 for me was fantastic. No complaints whatsoever. Act 2 is for me all the bits with London and the setup for the arrival at the trenches, and the trenches scenes themselves. So we arrive in London. London's filthy, it's ugly, it's smoke everywhere. You know, she says it's hideous. You saw that in the trailer. I agree. It is. It's a hideous city. It's not a. Yes, it's impressive if you're impressed by that kind of industrialisation, but it is pretty hideous if you're into your trees and your beautiful, you know, Mediterranean Aegean islands. And that I thought was a great thing in the film. We meet up with various people. We meet up with David Thewlis's character, who I think is Sir Patrick, and we're sort of hatching a plot to get down into the front line. We've found out that there's this book that's got secrets of this gas that's being worked on is going to prolong the war. This is something that we've seen in the trailers, this German general, this Ludendorff guy. He is using this woman to create these poison gas clouds, and now we've got to go off and stop her, but we're just about to sign the armistice. So we're just about to have peace. Interesting. Just about to have peace, and this could kick things off more, I guess. More people dying, ruin the armistice. So we have to go and stop this. And to do that, get Diana to the trenches, get her to the front, even though we're probably days away from the armistice. Now, this was good stuff. I thought the pace was good sort of comical interlude type stuff in here. And what I really liked was when they got to the front, we had this great unveiling of Wonder Woman, and the unveiling of Wonder Woman took place in the trenches, where she's being asked to sort of stand down and go her and just sort of follow on, because there isn't time. There isn't time to do things. And she stands up, goes for what she believes in. She goes over the trenches, and she takes all the fire from the Germans attacking them. And that fire allows everyone else to crest over the top, cross no man's land, dive into the German trenches, and basically make a huge advance to liberate this, I think it's Belgian or French town, that's just on the other side of the trenches. And this was Wonder Woman standing up. It was her big unveiling moment. She looked fantastic. It was a great scene. You've seen the scene in the trailer where she's, deflecting the bullets with her shield. And she has some great, huge, sort of action-packed moments in the film. Again, Act 2, fabulous. Really, really fabulous. My main problem with the film came in Act 3. So I loved all of that action so far. I loved everything that had been set up. Where I felt there was perhaps a little bit of a problem in the film was in Act 3, and it basically revolves around Ares as a character. My issue with the film was that we're set in World War One, so I'm going to go through a little bit of facty type stuff here. And for me, I found this a little bit disappointing. Great film overall, but a few things that just didn't sit right with me. It's World War One. If you know anything about World War One, it's not the great evil versus the great good war. It's greed. It's greed on all sides. Empire building greed. Greed for African colonies, greed for Indian colonies. It's greed for territorial space and expansion. On all sides. That's what the First World War is, for the most part. And yeah, Germany are aggressive, but it's not the clear-cut issue of the Second World War, where you can really sort of pin things and say, this is evil. It's not evil in that way. It's not evil aggression in the same way. And I felt the film really did kind of it tried to play this evil Germans affected by Ares versus people who aren't affected by Ares, certainly in how they portrayed it to the film. What was interesting was that you come to realise, and again this is heavy spoilers, you come to realise that although you've been led to believe throughout the film that Ludendorff is probably Ares, we discover that Ludendorff is not Ares, and that Ares is in fact Sir Patrick, the British guy, that's been helping them out the whole time. So clearly Ares has been sort of on the British side, sort of influencing things, and whispering in the ear of Ludendorff, whispering in people's ears, making them sort of really kind of influencing from the side, but as he says, not directly making anyone do anything. He's not directly, he's just sort of spreading the thoughts around. And I thought that was quite interesting. At that point, Ares was a Loki type character, a trickster, an influencer, someone who was manoeuvring people. People were doing it themselves. They were doing what they wanted to do, but he was giving them encouragement. He was not powering people up. He wasn't giving them super weapons. He wasn't fighting himself. He was just letting guys and men get on with the evil things that are in their hearts. I thought that was great. It was very Loki-esque. And I think if it had stayed that way, that would have been, it would have been smaller, but I think it would have been better. The problem with the third act is they felt they had to go the sort of CGI monster route, a la Doomsday, and we got this CGI Ares with David Thewlis's face, and David Thewlis does not look like Ares. He doesn't look like a big bad god. But you get this, what he looked like was Balrog light. He looked like the Balrog from Lord of the Rings, but like a diet version with the flames and the horns and okay, but why do we have to have another big one-on-one slugfest? I know Diana is the god killer, but it would have been so much more interesting if they just left it that Ares isn't doing anything. Maybe he was dead. Maybe he just found his way into the hearts of mankind. His job was done. He'd already done his work. He'd screwed things up for everyone. That would have been better. No one to fight. You know, no one to fight. But they had to go the route of there's one guy, focus on that guy, got to fight him, got to beat him, pound him in. She does that, he's got to vaporise him. And then you've got German soldiers, you know, they've been masked the whole time, so they are anonymous cannon fodder, and then they take off their masks and they're looking around like they're seeing the dawn for the first time, and they're just young boys, they're little young boys, they're not even, no, they're not, they don't have scars, they're not, you know, they had nice hair, they weren't skinheads, they weren't evil people, they didn't have tattoos, they weren't scowling, they were nice little boys. And Ares dies, and all of a sudden everyone's hugging, which for me completely undermined the whole point of evil's in men's hearts. It's not this guy doing everything. If getting rid of Ares stops the First World War, jumping the gun here, if getting rid of Ares stops the First World War, then how do you explain the Second World War? The First World War was greed and ambition, territory acquisition. It was about expansion, expanding empires, and treaties and boring stuff. You know, it was we're allied with these guys and they're allied with these guys, and I have to go to war and dominoes fall. It's not exciting like that. We finished the film, Diana's killed Ares, everyone's kind of woken up, trance-like, we'll find out. Big celebration scenes in London. And then we finished the film with Diana putting the photo back in the case, saying thanks to Bruce, and she's back in the game. And she's back in the game. Doesn't explain what she did during World War II. Doesn't explain how Ares dying still lets World War II start up 20 years later. You know, it doesn't explain all the conflicts around the world. Having this one bad guy, this one big CGI monster to fight, felt to me like one thing and one thing only. And I'll explain what that is, and then we'll be done here. It felt to me like Superman's dead. There's a Justice League movie coming up. We want to have Superman come back all dark, black suit, stubble, be bad. We need someone who can realistically fight him. So let's have Diana be a god killer. Let's show Diana kill a god, so we all know how OP she is, and we will then believe that she can realistically go toe to toe with Superman on her own. Whilst everyone else whizzes around doing whatever they're going to do, Flash is being annoying, Batman's making a plan, Cyborg is doing... and Aquaman is, you know, I guess... I don't know what Aquaman would do against Superman. Even in the water, why would he go in there? I don't know. Anyway, so there's your guy. Wonder Woman can take down Superman because she's God. So that gets me out of a plot hole for Justice League. Of if Superman comes back OP, and without a conscience, perhaps. So he's not holding back. Who can stop him? Well, Diana can now because she's killed Ares, because she's a god. So now Diana's good enough to kill him, and we've seen that. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like the whole thing was there purely to have Diana be powerful enough to go one-on-one with Dark Superman. And I wish they'd left it out. I wish they'd just had Steve Trevor's sacrifice at the end of the film, which was great. Good sacrifice. Very Captain America. And I almost wish there wasn't a big baddie to fight. It would have been much better for me. Here's the end of the film. Diana kills Ludendorff. The war doesn't stop. Ludendorff isn't Ares. There's no Ares. Ares is in man's hearts. He's here. He's everywhere. You can't, there's no one to fight. Then Steve Trevor takes the plane, flies off with all the poison gas, and blows it up in the sky. And the realization for Diana is there's good in the hearts of men, and she can be a symbol of good for the hearts of men, and therefore she can help the human race to fight the evil influence of Ares, the evil inside man's hearts. And I think that would have been great. Again, wouldn't explain why Wonder Woman spent the best part of 90 to 100 years, doing nothing, sort of messing around in the Louvre. I don't know. This whole question of what did she do for 100 years? Assuming the DCEU is present day, what did she do for 100 years? They needed a reason for her to have done nothing. I don't think they gave us the reason how she's done nothing, but they did kind of suggest that, they didn't suggest this was one of many stories. They kind of said that's the past and now present. Anyway, that was the thing for me. I thought the CGI big fight at the end was a bit pants. It wasn't really good enough, it wasn't strong enough, it didn't tick enough boxes for me, and I felt that they missed a trick here to do something a bit more interesting, a bit smaller, but necessarily much more interesting. Anyway, that was missed, they didn't take advantage of that, so be it, what can you do about it? Overall, the film was great. Anyway, so, spoilers over, no more spoilers from here, so just wrap things up. Yeah, it was a great film, good acting, some really good acting in parts. I thought Connie Nielsen was great, I thought David Thewlis was great in his role, I thought the guy that plays Stryker in Wolverine Origins, again, yeah, it's good, a bit hammy, a bit cheesing it up a bit, but yeah, otherwise pretty good. And yeah, I thought it was an overall good performance, very believable, funny bits, colourful, interesting, charming, entertaining, and a great watch. 8 out of 10, solid film, definitely recommend people go see it. Give this film some love. It needs to make money. DC have had a lot of hits and misses. I feel they need to see the reward. I somehow doubt this film will make, I doubt it will make BVS numbers. I really wish it would. I'd like them to see that this is, this was fun. It's what I want from a comic book movie. It's a fun film. I hope enough happens to sort of propagate that through the rest of the world. Because I could see a Flash movie working very similar to this. I could see an Aquaman movie working very similar to this. Interesting stuff. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. That was my Wonder Woman review and spoilers. So, again, let me know what you think of the film. If you like it, if you don't like it, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought about it. And yes, hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks so much, and